You are live. Hey, everybody. Hey, I'm back. So here we are on day two of the challenge. And, I'm going to go through my checks right here to make sure that you guys can hear me. So I'm going to check the Facebook page, the Facebook group, the Single Moms Facebook group, because that's the one that I can get to the easiest to check and see. Okay. All right. And yes, you can hear me. You can hear me. Good, 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 good. So, like I said, we're on day two of the challenge. My name is Bess Parks. I am um, the founder, the co-founder, and the co-creator of the Single Moms Club, and hashtag Single Moms Level Up is what I like to say. I'm the co-founder of both of those. So this is day two of the 5 day Single Moms Grow Your Village Challenge. It's important for us single moms to have a village. If we don't have a village, it's really hard to move forward in our lives with our children. And you actually may have a village that you don't realize is a village. So I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so you may actually have a village that you don't realize is a village. Um, I was saying that I had someone to help me out. Yes, yesterday I was talking about that I helped somebody out. I helped out a single mom with her newborn on Sunday, and that was just something. And I let her know, hey, I'm available on this day. I'm available on this day in the afternoons only. And I let her know these are the days that I'm available. So if you need help on these days, call me, and I will be more than happy to come and help you. Um, uh, that's how people can help us, the best. Some people may not know that they need to give us that type of information when we ask for help. um, so then we have to help them to give us the information that we need so that we know, hey, if it's on one of these days that I need help, call and find out if they can, if they can help you out. Plus, that also puts a commitment on there. Some people just kind of willy nilly say, "Oh, if you ever need anything, just call me." That's kind of a cop out because they're not giving you specifics, not saying, "Hey, I'm available on this day to talk if you ever need to talk, between this time and this time, or all day or whatever." They're not really committing. That's just something that is nice to say. That's just something that's nice to say, and they're being polite but not really serious. you know, not really serious. They may feel it in their heart, but they're not really committed to what they're saying. It's just something to say. That doesn't mean they're bad people. That just means that they don't know what to say most of the time when people do things like that and they give you this proper response, but don't have a commitment behind that. It doesn't make them bad people. They just don't realize or know how or what to say in the situation. So they say the things that sound good. so, um, so anyway, with this being day two of the 5 day Single Moms Grow Your Challenge, Grow Your Village Challenge, this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to get right into it. Today's topic is a wing and a prayer. So, a wing and a prayer. Let me tell you this story about a wing and a prayer. I had gone back to school when I had my son. My son, I have two kids. I'm a single mom of two kids, and I had my son first, and I had just finished school because I went back to school, and I had just gotten my bachelor's degree, and I was about to graduate, and someone in my class, put out an announcement, passed out cards, and said, "Hey, her job is hiring," and it was an interior design firm that did restaurants. So I don't know. I feel like that's in my chin. There we go. That did designs for restaurants. So I was like, oh, okay, well, it's an interior design job, and she said that they wanted her to put the word out and that they would be taking interviews. So I took one of the cards and called and scheduled the interview and everything. Mind you, we were going through. It was my senior year in college, doing my senior thesis. Oh my gosh, I'm about to sneeze, and I feel it right there. But it was my senior year in college and I'm doing my senior thesis, which means I was up all night and taking care of my son. The good thing was that in my senior year, my son was actually, I believe, he was 3, almost 4. Yeah, he was 3. He was about to be 4. So he was sleeping through the night. So, but I was not, because I was doing my senior thesis. I was running off about 2 hours of sleep, and then I would take my son to, um, hopefully not have to. At the time, sometimes I was having to take him to school with me, and it was a whole thing. I'm not even gonna go there, but I was having to take him to school with me at some times, and I didn't have a babysitter because my then babysitter was a family member, and they backed out and decided they didn't want to help me in that way anymore. So I was left stuck. I had classes to take. We had just, myself and some other students had just fought to get our final classes because the school was dragging it out because they kept canceling the class. We only had a couple classes to go before we graduated. So something that should have took 2 years for me to get done actually took about 3.5 years to get done. And that was just due to the school dragging stuff out. But my family member decided that they didn't want to help me in that way by watching my son while I was at school. And while I was at school, and then also while I was at work, because I went to work. I worked a part-time job and went straight from school to work. And they decided they didn't want to help me in that way. So I was just like, okay. So I was taking my son to school with me. And yes, the school had a problem with it. It was a university and they made all kinds of comments and whatever else. But the way I felt about it is that they dragged their feet. They were making the mistake, weren't weren't owning up to it. And, we had to protest to get our classes. So I was like, I'm bringing my child with me because if I was graduated, I wouldn't have this problem. He wouldn't be here. And it wasn't like he was a loud child, wasn't like he was running through the halls and everything. My son was very quiet, very quiet. A lot of my classmates got attached to him and used to seeing him for a while. I had to do what I had to do. So anyway, I went ahead and went for that interview, scheduled the interview, and I bombed. I completely bombed. I bombed the interview. I did good, but the test, there was a test for the AutoCAD program that we were using. We were using AutoCAD, and there was a test for it, and I messed up so bad on that. And I went home and I was feeling some kind of way about it. And I actually went home and was just upset and mad at myself, upset and mad, and was just like, here I had an opportunity, I messed it up. Um, I was so upset with myself that I was just praying and crying on my pillow at night, and was like, what am I going to do now? That was a good job. I messed it up. What do I do now? What do I do now, God? I messed that whole thing up. I don't know what to do. I have a son to take care of. Yes, his dad is there, but I don't know if he's here for real, because we didn't really know each other when I got pregnant. We had only known each other for like 4 months, and then I got pregnant. And I wasn't sure if he was going to be there. And I was like, I have to have a backup plan because I wasn't sure if he was going to be there. I just was not sure. I was so unsure that if he was going to be there, because that when we got together, I don't think that was something that I had in my mind to be with him forever. It was just somebody I was dating, you know? And so I was like, I have to have a backup plan because I'm not sure that this is going anywhere. So I'm praying about it. And then when I woke up the next morning, I got up and um, when I woke up that morning, the next morning, I got up and I just had this God idea to call the place back and tell them, hey, I'm doing my senior thesis. I hadn't gotten a lot of sleep. I came in and interviewed. My name is, Bess Parks. I came in and interviewed and I bombed on that test. I know I failed that test. And I have to say that I have been up, I hadn't been sleeping. I'm done with my senior thesis. I'm done with everything. And I called them back. And I don't know that it was totally the next day, but it may have been within a few days afterwards. I called them back and asked them, "Can I come out and can I come and retake that test?" They were willing to do it. And they said, "Sure, what day do you want to come in?" So I came in, I went out and redid the test. And then something that they did that kind of sort of let me know they were interested in me was they had me to do basically a color test. So they took me back to where all the resources in that design firm to the resource room and had me to pick out a color palette. So I picked up different colors and different um, color palettes to show to him. So he literally walked away and said, pick out whatever you want, and pick out these colors and these things that go together. So I picked out these things and these all these things, and I thought I was having a really good time doing it. I was enjoying myself because it was interior design, and what I really desire to do. I have passion for that. I love doing that. And so he comes back and he says, he's like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you for it." But he said, "Oh," and I caught that. And so anyway, after I took the test, they called me back like the next day, about 2 days later. 2 days later, they called me back, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to offer you this job." And I was like, "Yes." And the hours were really good. It was like I worked from like 7 in the morning to 3. Everybody worked the same hours in the whole design firm, and everybody took lunch at the same time. Everybody took break at the same time. This is how their system worked at this job. So the only problem is I didn't have a babysitter. I didn't have a babysitter. Here I got this job. I don't have a babysitter. Um, my family members no longer wanted to help me, and this is my immediate family. No longer wanted to help me for whatever reason. They thought that I was in some way let me just say one of them thought that I was taking advantage of them. Another one was upset because I wasn't doing things the way that they wanted me to. Another one wanted to be the mom and didn't agree with the decisions I was making with my son. So because I wouldn't do things the way that they want me to do, and there was lack of communication, um, I didn't have a babysitter, but I had a good paying job, but didn't have a babysitter. So you know what I did? This is what I did. I went back and prayed again. I was like, if it worked the other time, maybe it'll work this time too. So I went and prayed again, and I went for a walk. So I put my son in the stroller and we walked around the block. I went and did a lot of walking and did a lot of, searching in my mind. Who could I ask? Where could I go? Where am I, talk and praying, silently to myself as I'm walking. What am I going to do? I'm trying to do the right thing. And I just kind of poured my heart out to God and was like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to make sure that I have resources and to take care of my son. Yes, this wasn't planned. Didn't plan on being a single mom. Um, But I also wasn't taking precautions either. I wasn't taking protecting myself to not become a single mom. But that's a whole nother story. But so I did that, and I ended up at one of my friend's mom's house. And my friend's mom used to take care of kids around in the neighborhood. So I had totally forgot about that. Uh, no, I didn't. I remembered that. No, so she used to take care of kids in the neighborhood. So I went over to her house and went and talked to her and stuff. And she saw my son, and she hadn't seen him in a while, since he was a little baby. And so we talked and everything. And she couldn't take my son because she already had two small babies that were about my son's age. And no, she had two small babies, and they were her grandchildren. And then she had some other kids. She had too many kids at the time. So she told me, hey, there is there's a place that you can go to that is a Head Start. And so Head Start, if you don't know what that is, Head Start is a program that is countrywide. So you can probably search it for your city or whatever if you're in need. And they will watch your kids for free based on your for free or low cap or low cost. And it's basically preschool. So they'll do this if you're in school or if you are working a job and you are low income and you meet the qualifications for what they have, the services that they have, and they will watch your children. Mind you, a lot of times there's a waiting list, so you need to, go right away, and don't be afraid. If they say there's a waiting list, put yourself on it, because sometimes people pull their kids out for whatever reason, and then there's a slot and you're there and you've already been approved and everything, and they don't have to go through all the paperwork and stuff, because it's already been done. So she told me about that, but here was the hook. Here was the hook and crook about it. My son had to be potty trained. He had to be 2.5 years old and had to be potty trained. He wasn't potty trained. He wasn't potty trained. So I had went there, and I had just graduated in June, and and I was going to start a new job. So I went there and got all the paperwork, filled out all the paperwork, did everything that they needed me to do. And they told me I needed to bring that back when I was ready to register him, when he was 2.5 years old. So I told them, hey, my job is starting in October. My son will be 2.5 by then. He'll be almost turning 3. And so yeah, that's right. I'm trying to calculate in my head. Yeah. So my son will be almost 2.5 by then. He'll be 2.5 by then, almost 3. But but I'm starting my job in October. And so they said, well, wait until it's closer to the time, and we'll go ahead and enroll him, bring all the paperwork. And they told me he had to be potty trained. So I had spent the whole summer trying to potty train him anyway. But I was using those pull-ups, and those pull-ups are a joke, y'all. Man, them pull-ups are a joke. At least for me, in my experience with my son, those pull-ups did not work very well. So every time I had him, we were going to the bathroom, and I had them watching his patterns and stuff, he would pee or poop in the pull-up. As soon as I put it on him, 5 minutes later, he peed or pooped in that pull-up, and he'd tell me that he did it. I was like, if you can tell me that he did it, that means he knows pretty much what is coming. So I talked to him in ways that he could understand, and told him, hey, when you feel it right here, in your tummy, or you feel it right here, you need to say something and then go to the bathroom. So I took the whole summer to try to potty train him, and then I removed those pull-ups. I removed the pull-ups, and I don't know how I heard this, but somehow somebody had told me, or I heard it from somewhere. And so for a whole day, I took a whole day and stayed home, and my son walked around with no underwear on. No underwear, no pull-up. And I was like, if you pee or poop on mommy's floor, you're gonna be in big trouble. And so, and you're gonna be in big trouble, and you're gonna get a spanking. And so I was like, so if you feel it, you better go to the bathroom. So he knew what to do. We had already been practicing. He knew where the bathroom was. I told him he could tell me if he, I can help him. And so he came and told me every single time that day, I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, you're doing a good. Oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. So, so when I went to go and sign him up for preschool, he went and played on the playground. And so I showed him the playground and told him, you want to go be a big boy, go to school and stuff, and told him he could play on the playground and he'll meet friends and everything. And he saw all the kids playing, and I was like, you could play out there too, but we'll have to come back when you start school. So, it happened. My son, got him potty trained in 2 weeks, and he was telling me he had to go, and he went to school, and I started my new job. But that's a village, y'all. It may not seem like it, but that person, my friend's mom, is part of my village. And not only was she part of my village then, but when I moved from California to Texas, she had previously been already moved back to Texas because she's from Texas, her and her husband, and she had been back here for six years. And so when I moved to Texas, and that's a whole nother wing and a prayer, because I moved to Texas with no job, no place to live, and no car. I did have some money because my mom had passed away, and she left me an inheritance and some life insurance money, and yeah, so I moved here, and then here's yet another person that was a part of my village, and this was a wing and a prayer as well. I felt that in my spirit. This is my story, y'all. I'm gonna throw it out here real quick so that the new people that are in here know what my story is. So my story is this: is that when the part of my single mom journey where I left the kid's dad for the last time. My sister passed away the weekend after, and I got laid off from my job the weekend after that. This was when my daughter was 2, and my son was just turned 5. Oh, my son was about to turn 5, and no, he was about to turn 6. I'm sorry, because my kids are 4.5, 5 years apart. So and all that happened in that time frame, and by that time I was so tired. I was so tired. Me and the kid's dad tried to make things work for 7 years. We were two broken people trying to make a whole. That doesn't work, y'all. That doesn't work. It created a lot of toxicity between us. The relationship just did not work. I kept pulling away. He kept pulling away. It's two broken people that had a lot of hurt things in their past that we did not address. And so we could never come together. We needed to be two whole people coming together, and not saying we're perfect when I say whole, but we needed to have taken care of some things and address some things in our past, and allowed our hearts to be healed before we got together. Um, so anyway, that didn't work out. So by this time, I was so tired and broken and hurt and just tired, y'all. So by the time that the third thing happened and I got laid off from my job and they felt so bad, um, they did some wonderful things. They sponsored my family for Christmas. That was during the housing market crash, 2007. And because I worked for a company at that time, I was working for a different company, and we did model homes, and so we did all the interior design for the model homes, and I drafted all the specs, wrote out all the specs, pulled all the samples and did all that stuff, did those things for them. Wrote out the samples, but I did all their tech stuff. I didn't pull their samples, but I ran their sample, helped to run their sample room. But yeah, so all that was going on. So I had gotten laid off. They were like, you're not being fired, you're being laid off. They gave me a letter of recommendation. They even hired me as freelance twice for two projects. One of them was for a couple months. The next one was for like 6 months. And like I said, they sponsored my family for Christmas, and they spent a lot of money making sure my kids had a good Christmas, making sure my mother, who was in a nursing home, had things under the tree and everything that she could have. They really, really showed their love and appreciation for me working for them for the 3 years that I had worked for them. But anyway, so when I moved here from California, I had asked my cousin about staying with him, if me and my kids could stay with him for a little while. So here's the thing, I wasn't trying to be a burden. I was like, we could just be in a little corner of his house. Um, some of his kids weren't there. I was like, we could stay in one of your kids' room. It's no big deal. I didn't know how long we were going to be there. And I told him that. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I need to find a house and all that. What happened was my cousin also um, showed me that he was part of my village. And how he did that was I moved to Texas. He met me and my kids. He picked us up from the airport, and he gave me his keys to his car, and gave me access to his house, access to his food, and filled up the car and said, "I'm never here, Bess. I'm working all the time. I'm in and out a lot. I'm not here all the time. Do what you need to do. Stay as long as you need to stay." We stayed there for 3 months. 3 months before I could find a house. I had a real estate agent, and she was helping me to try to find a house. She didn't seem to understand what I was saying as the place that I wanted to be in, and at the time. But she's a really great real estate agent now. I think she's worked out all. She's definitely worked out all the kinks, because now she sells $1 billion homes and condos. $1 million homes and condos and stuff. She's a very good real estate agent, and I'm glad I used her. Um, to help me through that process. I learned my lesson, and so I let the people that are professionals do their job and pay them for it. So anyway, so I finally found a home, and again, that same friend's mom, I went to her and was telling her, because she was watching my kids. My kids were in school, and she was watching them after school, so she was helping me with that, and she continued to help me through that until my kids were able to stay home by themselves. And she let me pay her at a rate that I can afford. She wasn't trying to to charge me an arm and a leg. She let me pay what a reasonable, more than reasonable price, and said she did not need to have anything more, but that I just needed to do that for her. And so I did, and I appreciated her help. She was definitely and still is part of my village. My kids call her grandma, and her husband granddad. Um, uh, my friends' nieces and nephews have become their cousins. Um, uh, they're my friends' sisters or their aunts, and all that stuff. They're family now. Because my family, which was my mom and my sister, that's who I grew up with, and that my mom raised me. Yes, my dad was around, but on occasion. So I wasn't raised by him, and we didn't have a tight relationship. But that changed also during that time. I'll talk about that later in the challenge. But but yes, you never know who's part of your village and who could be part of your village that that you may come across. So that's a friend's mom that I hadn't thought about that before, and then ended up talking to her, and she ended up being a part of my village. Her and my friend, of course, they became family. Once my sister and my mom passed away, they pulled in and surrounded me and became part of my family. They checked on me. They were there for me. They helped me out, helped me to find resources. Went to church with me. My friend ended up being she's the godmother of my daughter, and I tell you, you don't know who could be part of your village. It could even be people at your church, people that I used to sing in the choir with. We used to hang out. Everybody would help everybody. If somebody didn't have money, we would eat after church. We would all put our money together, and we would share whatever we had with each other. And those are still my friends now to this day. Oh my gosh, that's well over. I was at that church for 13 years, and we met when we went all for. when some of us just got there, and we met shortly after we got there, and we all became tight friends and hung out with each other. And this was before I had my kids. And after I had my kids, we were still tight and strong, and we're still tight and strong today. So that's well over a uh, my son is 20, and I was there for 4 or 5 years before that. So about 25-year relationship. My other friend, we've known each other since junior high, so that's over a 30-year relationship. These people are my village. They my peeps. You know what I'm saying? So your village can be anybody that you know, and a lot of times they come during that process of a wing and a prayer. My friend's mom and her and my friend's family, my cousin, my own blood first cousin, became is part of my village, still part of my village. We still keep in contact. I didn't realize he loved me the way that he did until he did. He put actions to his words. He's much older than me, and so I didn't know that he cared or loved for me in that way, and I didn't know that's how he is because he was so much older than me. We didn't really hang out, you know. My sister was 8 years older than me. I think he's 9, maybe 10 years older than me. So there's a big age gap in there. So you never know who could be part of your village. So I want to know how your hey, Ashley, thank you for watching live. I want to know how your list making went. Tell me how your list making went. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the replay of day one and you'll know what I'm talking about. So we made a list and I want to know how your list making went. Um, are are you in need of something? Could possibly one of these people help you out? Um, uh, an emotional support, just somebody to talk to, whatever it is that you need, ask. If you ask, most times you're going to receive an answer, and it's okay if it's no, but a lot of times it won't be. A lot of times it won't be. Don't be afraid to ask the question. I tell my kids all the time, if you don't ask the question, the answer's always no. So ask the question, because most of the time, most people will help you, and how whatever way they can. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching live. Um, hey, Tony, girl. Um, the session is over, but you can watch the replays. It will let me download the replays shortly after. Sometimes it takes a little while before the replay is available for me to put it in the guides. But anytime you miss anything or you can't make it throughout the 5 days and throughout this challenge through Tuesday of next week, there will be replays available. Just go to the guides tab at the top of the Single Moms Club. There's a guides tab. Go to that, and everything is neatly set up there. You can watch it, hit the done. That way, you can remember what you did. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, the Single Moms Level Up YouTube channel, you could see all the replays there, and you can watch the replays for that. So thank you so much for watching live. Thank you so much for watching the replays. The sessions, I try to keep them about 30 minutes, but I tend to have a habit of going over a little bit. So, forgive me for that. And so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Today, this is what I want to ask you to do. Today, I want to ask you to make a list of um, of things you wish you could do, and that's things you wish you could do for your kids or things you wish you could do for yourself. Write that list down of things you wish you could do. And tomorrow we'll talk about what that list means and what you could do with that list, about the things that you wish you could do. So tell me what your takeaways are. Tell me what you think about what we talked about today. Tell me what you think about we talked about yesterday. Drop it, in the comments, whether you're in the Single Moms Club private Facebook group or you're on the YouTube page. Drop it in the comments and tell me what you think. There we go. I think I need to get off because I think there's too many people on the internet, so in the household. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, but give me your takeaways, and let's do this. Let's be a community. Let's be a support and encouragement to one another. Hashtag single moms level up. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.